Ooh la la, what a beautiful French long boy. Okay, fine. It's not called a long boy. This is the Peugeot E-308 SW. And hey, if you want something mega practical and you are also sick and tired of SUVs, this could be the car for you. So this Elixir Red long baby has actually done the rounds over the last few months with pretty much every member of the Electrifying team. And collectively, we think it's pretty decent. So before I tell you why, make sure you subscribe to the Electrifying YouTube channel and click on that bell button. Then you get notifications and that. And should we do it? Come on then. Now, in terms of looks, I can't lie to you. A couple of people have thought that this was a BMW. Yeah, I'm not even joking. It's a lovely looking thing. I love the blacked out windows. I love the front grille. So the design of this kind of creates an illusion of like a warped effect because it starts kind of bigger and then gets smaller and smaller towards the middle. And then you've got the lovely new Peugeot badge, which I think is very, very nice. I think down the side it's very nice looking. We've got the roof rails, etc. And then up the back you've got a GT badge and a rear wiper. One thing I do want to point out, which I think is really handy, is keyless entry. If your key is in your bag and you can't find it, you don't have to worry about that because as soon as you walk away, it will lock without touching the key. Look. And you come back in and it will unlock again. That's good, that. Like that. The boot, which is a huge selling point of this car. This is 608 litres of space. Absolutely huge. Now, when Manos, our cameraman, had this car, he absolutely loved it.
Yep, that's true.
He loved it because he can fit all of his camera kit and his whole body in there as well. If you fold down the rear seats, you've got 1,634 litres of space. Absolutely huge. I'm going to put you back in now.
No.
Yeah.
It's warm.
No, get in. And then I need to put, I'm just going to put that there. All right? You take care.
I don't want to go back
All right,
home.
bye. I really like it here. I really love the interior of all of the new Peugeots. Can't lie, I think it's very nice. But it is a try before you buy situation. If you are of the taller variety, it probably won't be for you. I've said this a few times when it comes to Peugeots. Because the steering wheel is so low and so small, you have to look over the top to have a look. So, if you are tall, this may not be the best thing for you because your knees may be like up here. But for me, at 5'6½", it's very nice. And this screen here, you won't be able to pick this up on the camera, which is really annoying because I know we've tried it in the past, but this has like a 3D effect. This is the 3D eye cockpit and it looks really nice when you're driving. You've also got this screen here, which is 10 inches and it's got everything you could possibly need. And you also have the eye toggles along here, along the bottom, which work really, really well. They're basically just like shortcut buttons to wherever you need to go. Wireless CarPlay and Android Auto, which works beautifully every time, although I do know that Manos, you had a few issues with CarPlay when you had it, didn't you? It cut out a few times for him, but I've had it for just over a month and I haven't had any issues with it. But we've got decent climate control, and then you've got heated seats, heated steering. Again, we've got the GT badge on the steering wheel, but that's not because this is a GT version to drive. This is just GT line, so you get GT styling, hence the sort of coloured stitching and everything around the top. The seats are very, very comfortable. You've got decent storage, nice size door bins, bit of wireless charging, couple of cup holders, little thing for your snackies, bit of storage in there. There's your charge ports in there if you need to plug anything in. That's a decent size in there. That's a lovely size glove box. Overall, it's very nice. I do have to acknowledge that it does feel quite dark. This is the kind of car, because it is so long, I feel like it needs a panny roof because it can feel very, very dark in here. But no, it's very funky and I like it. Can I point out something that's annoyed me a little bit? The radio stations, right? So click on media and then I go to all of my stations. You can save like 1 million stations on here as your favourites. So I've got a few stations all saved, but to change the stations, you either have to do it within the screen or you do it on the steering wheel. Now you can't just kind of flip up and down, you have to press and then flip, and then wait, and then press, and then flip, and then wait. That's the only way you can get through your favourite stations. Otherwise it just goes through every single station that you haven't saved as your favourites. So that annoys me just a tad. Just a tad. Not a lot, but just a tad. I'd rather just be able to flick through it. Apart from that, very nice. Bit of ambient lighting. Lovely, lovely. Rear seats. It's not the most spacious space. This is set up for my driving position. I am 5'6½" and I have little minuscule space for my knees there. Headroom, not too shabby. And actually, this has happened to me in a few Peugeots because it doesn't have a handle. Right, okay. It's filthy. The reason it's filthy is because Nicki had this car for a little while and she had her kids back here. And this must have definitely, there has been some snacks in here. Cup holder and there's definitely been some snacks in there. Speaking of Nicki, she did tell me that when she had the car, she found the rear seats to be a bit of a backbreaker because it's a slightly lower down ride height, so getting her kids in and out of the car was a bit of a faff for her. And she did mention that it does feel like quite a closed-in space to have the kids and child seats, etc. back here. So bear that in mind if you've got little uns. Now, as much as I love the exterior looks of the car and I like the wheel design, it's what's going on behind this facade that I wanted to point something out to you. This is a long-term loan. It's currently done 3,300 miles or so, and already we've got rust going on behind the wheel covers. I do know that when Manos had it, he had it at around 1,800 miles and the rust was already there. We haven't had it during winter months. So for a new car,
Charging. Now, standard AC charging is 11 kilowatt and DC rapid charging is 100 kilowatt, which is perfectly fine.
and you know what? It actually does do 100 kilowatt. I have tested it and it does actually work, which is lovely. Gets you well charged up in like 25 minutes. Good stuff. In terms of driving, it is perfectly adequate. Quite a pleasant drive actually. Very quiet. Not much road noise going on through the tyres, not much wind noise through the mirrors or anything like that. I mean, it's perfectly pleasant. I like the driving position when it comes to Peugeots, and it's very relaxing. It's not the most powerful thing. So we've got 156 horsepower, which I think is perfectly fine in the regular 308, not the long boy version that we've got here. Because this is longer, slightly heavier, I feel like it could do with a little bit more oomph, because when you do put your foot down, even when you put it in sport mode, which I can do now, sport mode, sport. It doesn't feel as punchy as I want it to be. I want more punch, a bit more fruit punch. That's what I want. I'm going to put it back down to normal because that's how I've been mostly driving it. Now you've got a 54 kilowatt hour battery, so it's 51 kilowatt hour usable, and it will give you a WLTP range of 254 miles. That's what they claim. Interesting though this, because every time I've fully charged it at home, I've got in the car and it says 262. Every time, 262 miles comes up on there. So I don't know if we're just getting some bonus miles because we're currently in summer months. But it's definitely said 262. Have I managed 262 miles in this? No, I haven't. It's not the most efficient. Okay, so roughly I'm getting around 3.8 miles per kilowatt hour, roughly. So while yes, they are claiming 254 miles, even though it says 262, you'll get around 210, I reckon. About 210. And that's with just me in the car. When you've got it fully loaded, you've got loads of stuff in the boot, you will have slightly less. In terms of regen braking, you don't have full one pedal driving. You have just the standard Stellantis way of life, which is the B button. So as soon as you press the B button, it just gives you a little bit more feedback and then puts a bit more power into the battery and brings you down to a very gentle creep, not to a complete stop, which as a fan of one pedal driving, I would rather it come down to a complete stop, but hey, this might work for you. I do have to say that while you are sat in this driving position, the car doesn't feel as long and as big as it actually is, which means it's quite easy to forget how long it is, which means sometimes I have misjudged parking spaces. Yeah, and I've gone, I can get in there, and then realise I can't. So bear that in mind, that you're driving a long boy and you need longer parking spaces. Steering wise, now look, it's a Peugeot. It's got a tiny little steering wheel. And actually, after I've driven this for a few months, I sat in, well, I can't remember what car it was now, but I went on a car launch and drove a different car, and the steering wheel felt massive. It was like an old bin lid. But I think that's purely because I've just got used to the size of this now. But because of the small steering wheel, pretty much all Peugeots have what I like to call strong chuckability. It means you just want to whip them. You can just whip them, right? You just kind of go, blah. Because the steering wheel's so small, you just kind of want to throw them around the corner. And you know what? It can take it. It can take a good whipping around a corner. It can. Yeah. That came out filthier than I wanted it to. It can take a good whipping. You know what I mean. Is it smooth? Yes. Have I crashed into many potholes? Not really. I mean, you might get the occasional thud from a mega pothole if you're unfortunate enough to hit one, but it's reasonably smooth, which is lovely. Can I point out something that I really do appreciate in this car? So, you know, when you're using normal navigation through the car, using the car's software navigation, it will show you where you need to go on the screen in front of you, or if you have head-up display, it will show you on there. And most cars won't show you that if you're using your maps through CarPlay or through Android Auto. It does in here. So while I'm using either my Apple Maps or whatever, it still comes up on the screen up here. And I really appreciate that. I like that. Good. Good, good, good.
Okay, yes, although Manos did point out that this feature is only available with Apple Maps when using Apple CarPlay, not with Google Maps, or at least not yet. Give it time.
Oh, I did tell you at the start of this video that this car has done the rounds with everyone at Electrifying, and naturally we've heard from Manos, we've heard from Nicki, we haven't heard from the main lady herself. Here comes Ginny. Oh,
Hi, how you doing?
I wasn't expecting you to pop up.
Yeah.
Really good.
Here, there, everywhere. I'm always around. Not in a weird way. Not in a strange way, in a good way.
Come on then, what do you reckon?
Right, so I only had about a week in this car.
Yeah.
But I do really like Peugeots to drive, generally. And this was no different. I like the low seating position.
Yes.
Quite a low seating position. Love the steering wheel. I know it's so divisive with that flat bottom, but for me, it gives this a kind of sporty feel that perhaps it shouldn't have, but it does. I found it, in fact, the whole time I had this, I really enjoyed driving it. I found it very engaging to drive. As Nicki pointed out, not masses of space in the back seats. It is a bit tight in the rear, but I think the boot's great.
Yeah.
And also with that nice high roof line, I think you get practical, good space in the back.
Yeah.
So I have Ziggy the dog.
He's a good boy.
He's a good boy. He is. He's here actually, but that would really confuse us.
Yeah,
so we won't put him in the video. He has one of those big massive dog dens, and it was in the back, no problems.
Oh, see, he's a good boy.
So good. Yeah. However, there were a couple of things that drove me mad. I think it's slightly lazy of Peugeot to leave a button in that says start engine because it's an electric car.
Yeah.
That annoyed me. And also, obviously, it's because this is, it's not a bespoke electric car. You've got that transmission tunnel running through.
Yes.
So it's a bit of a shame on those things, but they were minimal. And I think what's great about this is that it doesn't really have stats competition. MG5, Astra. But I would say that out of those three, this wins for me hands down. Maybe it's not quite as efficient as the Astra, but I like the way it looks.
Okay.
That's my thought. Shall I go and try pop off now?
Yeah, go on then. Go put the kettle on.
Okay.
All right. Bye. And she's gone. Ah, well, there you go. This could be the perfect car for you. If you're not after a massive SUV, but you want something just as practical, give it a test drive. And we'll see you very soon on Electrifying. Don't forget to subscribe and all that jazz.